This week on The Pick'em Show, turmoil in the studio.
Hey, are we doing a show this week?
Hey Seth, we're gonna have a 5-piece string orchestra on the show today. Okay? Okay.
Will Jeff make it out alive? Will Bo get his string quartet? Will Seth ever regain his mental health? We will find out this week.
Who gave us a budget?
Somebody bring us the scissors so I can finish the job.
That silence was silence was everything I'd hoped for. That was wonderful.
I feel glad to be alive today.
Oh wait, hold on. I was given a command. Hold on.
A command?
Action.
Here's some things you need to know. It's Jeff Hart's interesting stat of the show.
Ow!
We're leading with this today?
Yeah, I was told to go right into it.
Apparently so.
Welcome to the Pick'em Show.
Welcome to the
Pick'em
Pick'em Show.
Playoffs.
All right, Jeff, you're up, man. You're leading the show off today.
Sure, let's go. Nobody's
Can
going
we introduce the show first?
No.
We did.
Okay.
We all.
I'm just giving Jeff some background music. I'm just giving Jeff some background music.
Into the stats of the show.
I feel like Richard Petty, one of the two times.
And you're not.
Well, one of the two times, I went to the Talladega 500 3 times in the 70s. And the first time we went, Richard Petty, my favorite driver, they come around, they do the roar of the engines. They come around on the start for the lap. They throw the white flag. Or
the engines were running?
They throw the green flag for the first lap, and he never makes it back around to the turn. I'm on the back stretch. He blew an engine like in turn one as soon as he started.
Well, that happened to you years ago, didn't it?
Many.
What's your stats of the show?
That is this
22.
Jeff Hart stat of the show.
22. That's it. There you go. Okay.
And why?
Well, that's it. I mean, we didn't get to the game yet. You just want to know what the stat was, and the stat's 22. That's it.
Yeah.
You won't let
Welcome to the Pick'em Show. You know the crew.
You know everybody here. And we are in the playoffs finally. It took us a couple weeks to get here. Thank
22.
you, Hurricane
Just everybody remember 22 and see if you can figure it out sometime during the show, because we're not going to discuss the game that I give you the stat for.
I can't wait to hear the other stats.
I can't wait. I can't wait
There
for
is
it.
I
no
also
other
have
stat.
another
That's it.
treat for everybody if we want to dive into that.
More treats.
More treats.
I may have.
Is it a
I
Snickers
may.
bar?
Leftover
or what?
Halloween goodies? Or?
We
Skittles?
may have gotten that quartet that Bo talked about.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we may have gotten it, and it might have been AI generated and sounded something like this.
Gather round here to Gillipole, Cathal and Jeff, North Georgia sports, they chat most deaf. With Caleb and Walter, the crew's all set. A show
Yes, that
so
is right. I made it
crazy
say
you'll
Walter
never
instead of
forget.
Walker.
Bo says touchdowns, Jeff says stats. Caleb comments wearing funny hats.
Touchdown.
Walter wagers
Funny
on
hats.
turkey trots. North Georgia
hats, I'm
sports
a hat.
never hits the dots. They laugh, they bicker through every game. Their sports talk show never quite the same. It's dumb, it's wild, it flies off track. But if you're a fan, you'll keep coming back. They laugh, they bicker through every game. Their sports talk show
How
never
long is this
quite
thing?
the same.
2 minutes.
It's dumb,
Oh, my
it's
God.
wild,
We've got
it
so
flies
many
off
minutes.
track.
Nobody
But
will
if
minute
you're a
48.
fan, you'll keep coming back. They laugh at Gooser, got a frown so low. Tired of the chaos the guys
This is the
bestow.
portion of the song it talks about
He
me.
dreams of order, not the circus act. Oh, Seth, our friend, come bring the order back. Bo says touchdowns, Jeff says stats.
Touchdown.
Can I be a little
Caleb
blunt?
comments wearing funny hats.
Yeah, go
I
for
don't know,
it.
because we're live.
Walter
if I can fit
wagers
this
on
song.
turkey trots. North
is
Georgia
terrible.
sports never
It's
hits
AI
the
generated.
dots.
Hey,
I
people
probably
in the chat are loving it. People in the chat are loving it.
More their rambles leave
Love away,
you
guys.
on the floor.
I thought it was supposed to be an orchestral quartet, not a barbershop.
I did too. I love that. Seth,
I can stop the song if you guys want.
that was an excellent turn. I love that. I was expecting, to be put to sleep.
Hey, how about this one?
Oh, hold on.
Yes.
Hold on.
Jeff and Walker, we're the stars of the Friday game night pick'em show. We
Did
here
you
to
make
bring
this
the
up today too?
Ready to blow. Grab your friends, it's about to go down low. Taking bets, predicting the scores. We're the kings of the game.
Which one's better? That's the original one.
Yeah, that's the original one. I'm
gonna tell you, I kind of like the barbershop quartet one.
My favorite one is still the one that's still never seen the light of day, the off the rails intro that we made that still has never been played.
Well,
that's still my favorite one.
The Jeff Hart song is still the best one.
Do you want me to find that song?
I don't know if we got time for that right now, Bo. I think we need to.
We should probably talk.
Yeah, we probably should.
I just want to know why the Jeff Hart one was never released for like single. Yeah, I think we could win an award with that. I see residuals.
You think we can win a Grammy?
I just know my name's on it.
Or
I'm getting
CMA.
all the money. I'm getting all the money. My name's on it.
Guys, we're just chasing a Gabby right now. Come on.
We just lost it. All right, guys. Fisher, though, welcome to the show.
Maybe we could say it 3 times and do a Beetlejuice thing. I don't know.
A little fun here to start the show, obviously, but we got a lot of fun starting on Friday night with 15 area teams.
Well, 16 with LCA.
With LCA. Actually, I guess 17 with Lakeview,
and they lost
who unfortunately lost last week.
That's
but regardless, here we are. A lot of teams in the playoffs, and we don't have much to talk about from last week because, of course, it was the intentional off week provided by Hurricane Helene for the rest of the state. So, but here we are. Man, we got a lot of games that are interesting, and I want to start the show because we need to get this out there. By the way, breaking news before the show started, Dawson County head coach Sid Maxwell retired today, so a search for a new head coach is currently underway over there. So that'll be interesting to follow 10 great seasons from Coach Maxwell.
I think that's a round of applause.
You know what's interesting about that, Gainesville plays Sequoyah, who he coached in the early to mid 90s and took them, I believe, to
I think that was his first head coaching job.
I think so.
Yeah.
Took them to like a quarterfinal appearance, which is still, I think, their longest, deepest run in the playoffs. And they're playing Gainesville this week, so kind of interesting how that kind of all ties into it. I think Sequoiah's had like 2 or 3 10-win seasons, and 2 of them with Coach Maxwell. So that guy can coach, and boy, I'm gonna miss him because he was good to us over the last decade, and it was always fun watching his teams play. I think my favorite team will probably always be that Coey Watson-led team. And some of those West Hall battles with Coach Lottie's team down at the Hot Gates, man, those were some of the best games probably of the last decade. Place was jam-packed, 2 good teams, excitement. And I loved watching Coey Watson run that offense.
Absolute pleasure. Always an absolute pleasure working with Coach Maxwell.
And it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see the next chapter for Dawson County because Sid Maxwell took Dawson County football to places it had never been before.
Absolutely.
And, a lot of times.
Bo knows all about that.
A lot of times, what happens after a coach does that?
Parking lot? Was that as far as y'all got when you played?
A lot of times, whatever happens with a program after a coach like that leaves, it can kind of go either way, right? Like things can either go back to just how they were before, or it can be a wake-up call to the community that, like, hey, we're capable of these things, and maybe it opens up some more, it attracts some stronger candidates than maybe the job used to attract. And it'll be interesting to see how that goes, who they get to be the next leader of the program, but also if somebody's able to kind of carry that program forward after what Sid Maxwell showed was possible there.
Well, Bo, you're a little more in tune than the rest of us on some of this. Who are some of the good, young coordinators that you think might be ready to make a step up, take a head coaching job? I think.
Well, first off, I'm going to say this. I think what Caleb just said made a very good point about the doors opening up and finding a candidate there. Nothing against the coordinator, but I think Dawson County is probably at a place where it can.
Well,
pick
it
head
can,
coach
but
with
there's also going to be some great coordinators.
There are some great coordinators out there. I have no idea the answer to your question. Like, I'm not even going to step off into that. But I believe it's a job that can be really, really good.
I do too.
And really appealing to a head coach to come in, Walker.
Well, and not only that, I mean, we heard Sid Maxwell say multiple times this year, this is the hardest working crew that he had in his decade at Dawson County, right? And so it's not like he's leaving the cupboard bare when he retires either. You see some guys, stay with a crew, until that senior class graduates, and what's left, who really knows? The cupboard's not bare in Dawsonville. That Tigers team is going to be a tough out next year, especially with what's happening in 6-3A with all of the graduations, with Cal Faulkner graduating, Trip Nix graduating. GAC is going to have some graduates, but they'll be decent. North Hall's going to be improved. But Dawson County, I think, based off of what they have returning and the way that they finished this year, Dawson County has got to be a front runner for a playoff position next year. And whoever's the next head coach is stepping into a pretty good situation.
Well, and I'll say this too. I don't know if pressure is the right word, but I think Dawson County knows they need to make sure that this program stays on the upward trend, because I know that you pointed out some graduations that are coming up, Walker, but when you just look at the state of programs surrounding Dawson County, Heath Webb's got Lumpkin County rolling like they've never been before. Sean Pender's got things cooking pretty good over at North Hall. You've got Paul Standard over there at Gilmer. East Forsyth is getting better every passing year. You've got Stuart Cunningham, who has Chestatee competitive. So there's no...
Yeah, they're surrounded.
They're surrounded sort of by quality programs. And they need to make sure that things kind of stay in the right direction there.
Talking to Coach Maxwell this morning, just to put the store's actually up on Access right now, but talking to him this morning, he talking about like Walker said, the cover is not bare. To finish 4-6 this season and coming off a 2-8 season, I think was really big for them. And Coach did reiterate this was one of the hardest working teams that he's had in a long time. So he'll end his career as the winningest head coach in Dawson County history, and took him to 8 playoff appearances, including a quarterfinal and the 2 region championships, the only 2 the program has. So I guess a tip of the hat to Coach Sid Maxwell on a job well done at Dawson County. All right, so the high school playoffs, a very interesting turn of events after the seedings come out. We kind of thought it might happen that way because we were crunching numbers in 3A and Division I single A because of the playoff or the postseason ranking system. But Class 3A, the upper left-hand quadrant, is home of every Region 8 3A playoff qualifier, which is absolutely insane. Bluff plays Monroe area again.
Right.
Jefferson could play Oconee County again in the second round. Guys, this is a potential flaw of this system, but I don't know what your thoughts are on this.
Look, it is a flaw, but if you're going to do any sort of a seeding process, I mean, I know it's not the NFL or the Major League Baseball and stuff like that, but if you're going to use that kind of a system, I mean, it's going to happen because it's about trying to get that best 132, 231 matchup so that at the end, in the final, in the Elite Eight and the Final Four, you have the best teams. Not necessarily, how many times have we seen, the number one or 2 of the top 4 teams meet in the second round? Something like that because of the way that they have the region set.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying.
If this is seeded,
but that's different.
But if this is seeded on power rankings, okay, this is going to happen.
Postseason rankings.
Well, I know, but essentially,
not a power ranking.
But it does take into effect strength of schedule, so it does make it some.
Does it?
Okay,
in a way, I guess it does with opponents winning percentage.
I will say this.
Right. Yeah,
I'll say this.
Absolutely.
I think one thing we learned about kind of watching the fluctuation of the power ratings play out this year is that, I think that whenever you're putting together one of these power rating structures, you're trying to rank teams essentially. There's always the argument, okay, are we trying to rate them as best to worst, or are we trying to rank them by most deserving to least deserving? And I thought, Walker, I don't know if you kind of shared this opinion, I thought as we kind of watched these play out over the course of the season, I thought this rating system kind of leaned itself more into a more deserving ranking because at the end of the day, it did favor win-loss record
Absolutely.
really over everything else, which we knew mathematically was the case, but you then have to watch it play out to see if the numbers bear themselves out. I thought this ended up being more of a deserving ranking than a quality ranking, in my opinion. I don't know what you thought about it.
I definitely agree with that. And, when you talk about how things ended up being seeded out, right? The region champs get seeded first, and then region runners-up get seeded next. So that even more goes into it's win-loss heavy in terms of how the deserving factor, like you mentioned. I think the only flaw in it is because we end up with all 8 3A teams in that top left quadrant, it's because of the fact that the 1 seeds were seeded first, then the 2 seeds were seeded, then 3s and 4s were mixed together with whatever at-larges there were seeded out from that point. Riddle me this, and you guys can disagree with me. I'm good with it. We talked about it in our text message thread on Sunday after the brackets were released. Batman. Why wouldn't we group the 1 and 2s together? Yes, it gives a little bit of a disadvantage for the region champs not necessarily being guaranteed those 2 home playoff games, but I think it would also kind of alleviate some of these potential all 4 teams from one region getting put together. Now, Oconee County probably still gets put up there with Jefferson, just based off of how the rankings ended up. They would have still been number 17 because they weren't the number 1-3 seed. They were the number 2-3 seed, according to the rankings because of the at-larges. But Cherokee Bluff would be seeded 3rd instead of 8th, which I think is their more deserving spot.
See, that's,
right? I mean,
that's the one that I don't get. I mean, that's dropping essentially 5 spots. Now, and I get it. They finished 2nd in the region. So, but if they were 2nd in the region and Jefferson was the region winner, they would be on the opposite side of the brackets automatically. That is the flaw.
What about this?
That's the flaw.
And this, it goes down to, Bo, not to interrupt you, but it comes down to who played the tougher schedules, because that's really what we're trying to figure out, right? We're trying to figure out who the best teams are. And if you get through your schedule at 9-1, like Cherokee Bluff did, right? They were 9-1.
Right.
So they made it through that schedule, playing Lumpkin County in the playoffs, North Hall in the playoffs, Jefferson in the playoffs, Monroe area in the playoffs. Who am I missing? Oconee County in the play. They played 5 playoff teams that I can think of off the top of my head and won 4 of those 5 games, but yet they're seeded 8th.
Right.
Like that doesn't sit particularly well with me. I know that's how it's set up and that's the way it's going to be. But when you take into account the type of schedule that they played and what they did, I don't see how this team is the number 8 team in 3A. And it's a shame because now they're going to likely play either Jefferson or Oconee County, assuming that all those Cherokee Bluff does what they're supposed to do the first 2 weeks. Jefferson and Oconee probably match up next week. Whoever wins that game, Cherokee Bluff's got to run up against, and it'll be the second time they've played either of those teams. And it's a shame because we shouldn't see that until the semifinals at the earliest.
Yeah.
That would I agree.
Well,
I would agree with that.
We have the seedings here. And talking to one of the coaches around here, I want to say his name, we were kind of spitballing on what the tweak should be to this system. And a valid point was brought up is you could seed the 1 seeds and the top seeds, and you could put them each in a bracket and do it. And I said, March Madness style. So you have the Northwest quadrant, 1C, and you do it that way. Would that alleviate some of this potential regions playing each other? I'm a fan of the postseason ranking. I really am. Like I like it. I think it does award you based on what you do on the field, not necessarily, you get a top 4 seed, you automatically qualify for the playoffs. I agree with that. Top 4 seed in your region, you qualify. And then let's see what the power rankings do after that. Like, I would not be against ranking everybody by their power ranking or the postseason ranking.
Well, let's take it from this approach. If you're not going to do the power rankings, you go back to the way it was last year. So if you looked at 6-3A and 8-3A, the 4 teams that would have been in the playoffs based on how they finished are in the playoffs. And that is the same for 6-3A, except GAC would have been in and not whoever was took their spot. Was it Pickens?
Gilmer.
No, in 6-3A.
No, nobody took their spot.
Nobody else in 6-3A.
Okay, so there was only 3 teams.
Nobody took their
So again, all right. So no one else from 6-3A. You would have had those 4 teams. So essentially, in our area, no one in our area, fortunately, got hosed out of getting into the playoffs. But I'm like you, Bo. I like the power ranking systems. I think this is going to get us better matchups. This is just going to happen. I'm not sure I see a way to avoid this. It's just going to happen, and you're going to have to play who you got to play anyway.
Yeah. Well, look,
absolutely.
I don't have a big issue with the top 4 still getting in. I could maybe see a compromise system where maybe you go to the top 2 teams in each region get automatic qualifiers, and then you fill out the rest of the bracket using the top-rated teams and the power ratings that are left. I think that could be a viable system. But
regardless if they finish 3, 4, 5, 6 in a region.
Right, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
But let me say this. I think that and Adam Lindsay was on Thursday Night Quarterbacks recently, and he brought up, we need to make sure the top 32 teams are getting in, not just 1 through 4 in each region. And there have been some bad football teams make the playoffs. I get it. But when you look at Class 3A right now, the only teams that didn't – there were only 2 teams that finished in the top 32 in the power ratings that did not make the playoff field.
Right.
And the ones I think it was I think Pickens might have been one of them. And I can't remember. I think Beach was
Pickens got in as the 4 from 6-3A.
Right.
Okay. At any rate, my point is there were only 2 teams that finished in the top 32 in 3A that didn't get in the playoffs. And they were at the very bottom of the top 32. There were only 2 teams that got in that were not in the top 32, and they were pretty close to the top 32.
One
they were
Monroe.
30. They were 35, 36, something like that. So, okay, I get it. You want to get in the top 32, but also we're splitting hairs a little bit. This is the old, are we really going to complain that number 35 got in over number 31? You're splitting hairs there a little bit. I think the system basically worked this year. I do think that a system maybe like you brought up, Bo, to make sure that we don't get a region tournament essentially in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs in one quadrant of the bracket. Maybe you say, okay, if we need to swap teams 1 spot for 1 spot so that we don't get a region rematch in the first round, I could maybe be in support of something like that. But I think largely this worked. I just think there are a couple of little things that need to be tweaked here.
I completely agree.
I think the system is 95% good.
It seems to me there's less complaining so far. A lot of times you start hearing some of the white noise immediately after. So I heard that we didn't get in and they got in. They're 2-8 because there was an upset. I haven't really seen Twitter or anything else. A lot of grumbling so far.
Are we in favor of this expanding to 4, 5, and 6A?
Absolutely. Imagine it in 6A.
4, 5, and 6 what?
Expanding the postseason rankings to the others. If it's good for 3 of them, might as well be good for all.
Well, I will say I don't like having different playoff structures for half of the classifications in the state and a different
I would
one
agree.
for the other.
I would agree. Do it all
I think
one way
it
or
was a
another.
good thing to start it with half, Caleb, just to test its viability. But now that we've seen it works, can't do it next year because you have to keep the same for 2 years. But I think in 26, I think that all 7 classifications, technically Division 1, Division 2, I think all 7 classifications need to go to this postseason rankings because it's going to – this first week of high school football playoffs is going to be more fun, I think, than any first week has been because of some of these 16, 17, 15, 18 matchups
I agree.
that are very, very intriguing.
Let me throw this out there,
There's
too.
some good matchups.
Between now and then, if we're going to have this separate private school bracket, and I don't know if we are moving forward, but let me just say this. If we are, can we put them all in their own regions? Can we stop?
Amen.
Can we stop
totally
putting
agree.
them into the public school regions because it creates so many issues?
Hallelujah. Round of applause.
I would
for that
agree
one.
with that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. There it is.
I mean, they can still play in non-region.
Yeah.
But if we're going to put them in a separate playoff bracket, what's the point of having them share a region? I get that, some of the smaller private schools don't want to play GAC, But, I mean, good grief. I mean, it's not like GAC could play Prince Avenue and Hebron Christian, and it wouldn't be that ridiculous.
Yeah.
I would probably say both of them would beat GAC.
They would both beat GAC.
At least
badly,
this year, yeah.
Badly.
The bad GAC. All right, guys, before we get to break here, because we need to move on, we need to throw our thoughts and prayers out to Carmelo Bird, the running back for Gainesville High School's involved in a serious car crash on Monday. He is currently receiving medical attention and hopefully is in good shape. I know he was in ICU yesterday or Monday.
Well, I
know you talked to Coach Niblett.
I did. The whole team went and visited him on Monday. From what I understand, there was a surgery. He did fine. Put him in ICU after the surgery, which is normal procedure. He was supposed to be in a room yesterday, Tuesday, and he's going to have a road to recovery. But as far as I understand it, he should be fine to continue his football career after this season. He won't be back. He got 5 short weeks of the playoffs. I don't see him getting back in time for that. But look, he's got a bright future playing on Saturdays, and don't know where he's going to end up. Hopefully, this won't be too much of a setback.
Absolutely,
he's going to have some work to get back to where he was. But at least it turned out to be a much more positive story.
No doubt. All right, let's get to a break. Come back and talk about our 3 big conversation games as the Pick'em Show continues here next. We went on the rant. I wouldn't really call it a rant about the postseason rankings. We just kind of laid it out there. And speaking of that, Monroe area and Cherokee Bluff, they've already played once this year.
And now first round of the region tournament,
and
everybody.
now first round of the region tournament begins.
Who's hosting this year?
That would be Cherokee Bluff. So, again, second trip for the Hurricanes to Yona Field. And, the first one was a 52-24 win for Cherokee Bluff, but it was 21-17 at half. Second half, Bluff exploded, I think, for 31 there, if my math's right.
It is.
Very interesting talk to Coach Jones yesterday, and we were talking about that game, and he did bring up it's hard to beat a team twice, and I said, yes, that was the question or the thing I was going to ask you, is it is hard to beat another team twice, but he said right now we are just focused on us, and that's the only thing we're focused on. But he did say that Monroe area has changed some personnel. They're now playing linemen on both sides of the ball. They are doing things differently schematically on defense than the first time they played them. It might not show up since Monroe area played Cherokee Bluff in the win-loss column, but he says they are a different look team. So, Caleb, that could be concerning playing them the second time.
Well, I'll say this. First off, I think the schedule and the way this week before the playoffs thing played out benefits Cherokee Bluff because sorry, I didn't know I was boring you there.
Yeah, you did. It's okay. Go ahead.
But, Cherokee Bluff had to go play Oconee County, very physical football team. They go play Jefferson, very physical football team. Then, after getting beat up by Jefferson, they get the joy of having to chase Jamarcus Harrison around the field for 48 minutes. They get through that. They got a bye week, basically, to get ready now for Monroe area. I think this was a team that needed a week just to kind of get physically back on their feet a little bit. The Jefferson game was ugly. Yes. I think getting a win back under their belt, they played really well offensively in that game, which they did not do in the Jefferson game. So maybe get a little confidence back there against East Hall, get a week to rest up, and now come in against Monroe area. I do think, Walker, the Bears are going to have to put up points in this game if they're going to win, because one thing we've seen with Monroe area, you pointed out a couple weeks ago, I think they're kind of a better version of what East Hall is as a football team, and so the Bears' offense is going to have to be able to put up points in this one.
Well, and if you recall how that first game went, I know the final score was, 52-24? It wasn't that much of a blowout. Cherokee Bluff scored, 3 touchdowns in that last 4 minutes of the game? I know, Caleb, we were listening to that game as we were getting ready for the scoreboard show that night. It kind of ran long because Cherokee Bluff got some turnovers. Monroe area muffed a couple of punts, short fields, touchdown Cherokee Bluff. The game got out of hand really quickly. That was a 1-touchdown game for a long time before Monroe area kind of imploded. So what Cherokee Bluff's going to have to do is they're going to have to get off on a quick foot, because if they let Monroe area hang around in this game again, I don't think Monroe area makes the same mistakes a second time. And that's the concerning part, right? The Monroe area has the offense that can score points quick. If they cut down on the special teams miscues and they, don't give Cherokee Bluff short fields, Cherokee Bluff struggled to run the football against Jefferson.
I think that
was kind of the big issue in that game, where we said Cherokee Bluff's got to run the football. Right. Jeff, if they don't run the football against Monroe area, and that tough front seven that they've got, could be a long night.
Well, it could be. There were a couple of things that I looked down the stretch. Caleb, you brought up a good point. They probably just needed a rest, and a chance to kind of just take a breath, get some of the dings back as far as getting healthy. The thing what I was looking at this game is that defense has been outstanding. I mean, they gave up 14 points a game in their first 8 games, which includes the game against Oconee County and some of the other teams. They gave up 61 points against Jefferson and East Hall, teams that have very good dual threat quarterbacks. Monroe area's got a good dual threat quarterback. They got a running back that's got over 1,000 yards. They got 2 receivers that have over 30 catches on the season. They are going to have to figure out how to contain a dual threat quarterback, because that in those 2 games, even though they beat East Hall, I mean, they gave up 61 points. That's a lot of points for that Bluff defense.
In the 2 games combined, they gave up 61. They gave up 24, I think.
Yeah, 24.
So
24 they gave up to Monroe area.
61 points to dual threat team in Jefferson and East Hall. 61.
Combined, though. I'm just saying,
correct.
Just to point it out, just combined.
That's what I'm saying. Combined points. They only gave up 14 points a game on the other 8 games. They've got to figure that out. If they let Forrest Ross, that quarterback who's thrown for 1,200 yards and rushed for over 600, they let him kind of do what he wants to do. That, to me, is the key to the game.
There were clearly some adjustments made defensively at halftime of that Monroe area game for Cherokee Bluff, because, like you said, Walker, 21-17 at half, and I know you talked about some of the mistakes Monroe area made. They only scored 1 touchdown in the second half against Cherokee Bluff. So the Bears clearly made some adjustments at halftime and got some things right defensively in the second half of that game. Now here comes the chess match. Does Monroe area kind of have a counter? Are those sort of tweaks defensively able to be carried over at all into the second matchup? There's a lot of interesting things like that come into when you get a rematch like this.
To that point, Caleb, Monroe area made 2 trips to Dahlonega in 2010 when Tommy Jones was on the sidelines for Lumpkin County. First matchup, Monroe area wins 10-7. Second matchup, Monroe area rolls over us on my senior night. So to that point,
and there it is.
Monroe area, different team. Stephon Tuitt was on the defensive line back then. Stephon Tuitt's not on this team. But to that point, Monroe area shows that they can make the same trip twice, make adjustments, and have a completely different outcome to the game.
Well, I think the
Cherokee Bluff's going to have to do some things different themselves to try and out-chess Monroe area.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to not verbatim say, but when talking to Coach Jones, he's talking about some of the schematics that they've changed Monroe area. So you got to feel like Monroe area, who's already lost big to Cherokee Bluff, maybe have the edge coming into this game. I know it's a home game for Cherokee Bluff, but again, you look at it, and I always look at the thing, you play a team twice. I think the loser has the advantage the second time, just a smidge.
Maybe. This game kind of reminds me, I'm going to go back to Rabun County. Rabun County's playing Fitzgerald again this week in the first round. And I was at a playoff game, I think 2018, and they came into that game. They were a team that threw the ball around and did a lot of different stuff. And they came out with like an old school, almost four horsemen type of offense against Rabun County and just jammed it down their throat. Because they looked at, like, I don't think they would have beaten Rabun in a straight up game playing the kind of offense that they do. Rabun did it better, and their defense was good. They took a style to take Rabun's style of game out of play. And I kind of see this game. I could see if Monroe area has these changes, I could see them doing something a little bit different to try to see if they can take the ball away from Bluff and control the clock.
That plays right into what I was about to say, which is these matchups, when you get a rematch, it is so fascinating to watch the coaching moves that get made.
Absolutely.
Yes. Because I remember when Seth and I did the documentary a few years back about the 09 semifinal between Gainesville and Flowery Branch. And, of course, the two had played in the regular season. Gainesville blew Flowery Branch out. They meet in the semifinals, and Flowery Branch is up 14-0 at halftime. And I remember we interviewed Bruce Miller, the Gainesville coach, and he said, we tried to do the same stuff we did in the first game, and it wasn't working. And, when you're the winner of that first game, I think there can be sort of a tendency to say, well, what we did last time worked, we'll just go out and do it again. And if the other team has learned their lessons and gotten better and made some corrections and is prepared for that, that can end up coming back to bite you. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different ways this thing could go. I'm very interested to see how it plays out.
And to me, this plays into the discussion we were having earlier about the power rankings, playoff rankings, or whatever we want to call it. A 2 seed, this is one of the toughest, matchups you're going to have in a first round game, and they wouldn't be seeing Monroe area so early, being in the opposite things. But, when you look at the power rankings and you try to get those matchups, this is, I think, the kind of a matchup fans want in the playoffs. We want as good a matchup as we can get in the first round. This is one of the most intriguing games of the night.
I love how we spent 20 minutes whining and complaining about how bad it was that we had a region rematch, and then proceeded to spend 10 minutes talking about how interesting this game is going to be, guys.
It is. That's what the hand we're dealt.
The cards were dealt. We have to play. We have to play 9s and 8s. If we get
whoever said chess match about this game, absolutely spot on. I think it's going to be. And that game, by the way, over on AM 550, as you can check that out on Friday.
It was on 550 a few weeks ago.
It was.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Brian Stewart on the Tailgate Show, and he called that first game, and I think he's the only one of us that are in this room. Well, Seth, were you at the Cherokee Bluff Monroe area game? I'm trying to remember because I know we had video on it, but I can't remember if that was you. So he's the only one.
No, I was not.
None of us in this room were at that Cherokee Bluff Monroe area game in person to see it. So I'm interested to get Brian Stewart's perspective on the Tailgate Show, what he thinks we might see in this one.
All right, another big game on the schedule. Coffee at Jackson County. Jackson County in the playoffs, hosting a playoff game. They are the number 2 seed in a Region 8 5A, but they're hosting defending state champ Coffee County, Jeff. And I talked to Coach Mobbs yesterday as well, and he's fired up for this game.
And he should be. And he needs to have the Jackson County community fired up and coming to this game. They don't need to be the quiet Jackson County crowd that we've heard a few times. They need to be rocking.
I've witnessed that.
Yeah, they need to be rocking and rolling right from the beginning because they're going to need everything they can against the defending state champs who, they slummed it this year, only finished 8-2.
By the way, the region they're in, the region Coffee is in is nuts.
It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. It's Lee County, Thomas County Central, Houston County. It's insane.
Yeah, Houston finished 4th in that region. I think they were like 7-3.
And they're ranked in the top 10, I'm pretty sure, in the state of the media polls.
Yeah, I mean.
What were those postseason rankings look like?
8-5A did not get – they got no quarter in this. I mean, it's brutal matchups.
I mean, Jackson County has had the best season they have had in their history. Yep. They are 8-2. They have got a home playoff game for the first time ever. Their only losses are to Jefferson and Clark Central. And your reward for all of that
is coffee.
For your first ever home playoff game in 45 years of playing football, Jackson County, is to play the defending state champion and number 8 ranked team in the state, Coffee.
A thermos full of coffee.
Yeah, it's not the same Coffee team that rolled last year. I mean, they might have been the best team in the state, any classification. There was some argument about that. They were in the conversation. They lost some of their key guys, but they're still very formidable. I just want to see Jackson County. They're going to be the underdog in this game. I don't care if they're at home or not. I'm not even sure what the line is on this because it's going to be difficult for people to say they're going to have the advantage over the defending state champs, whose only losses were to, ridiculously stellar teams like Lee County. But I think Jackson County has a defense that can keep them in the game. And the question to me is going to be, can R.J. Knapp and that crew not turn the ball over? That in the games where they have struggled, turning the ball over, making key mistakes and penalties like they did against Clark Central, that callbacks.
It's a fast, physical Coffee defense. I don't know if you've looked at those stats. 84 tackles for loss. Woo. I think they are averaging. What did I have here? Now I've lost it. But 84 tackles for a loss. I think several sacks, several quarterback hurries. They force like 16, 17 turnovers. The linebacking core is really good. So this Coffee team is going to be a tough out for Jackson County. And I think they have the firepower to do so. But I think if you have to look back at any of the teams they play, you got to go back to Jefferson. You look at that game. I know it was early in the season, and Jackson has improved since then. But they're going to play a team that's probably comparable, if not better, than Jefferson.
Totally. They're going to have to find a way to. They're going to have to play their game because you can't be who you're not. But they just can't make the mistakes that they made against Jefferson and Clark Central. But I think that they have definitely improved. There's a lot of confidence coming in. The offense is playing well. The defense is good. It's just a matter of, I think, if they can keep it close into the fourth quarter and they can keep the crowd in the game and the crowd is loud and gives them a home field advantage.
Boy, can you imagine what a win in this game would do for that program?
Massive.
Can you imagine what a confidence boost it would be for what Corey Mobbs is trying to do over there? It'd be unbelievable. But I'll be honest with you. I know Jefferson's really, really good. This could be the best team they've faced all year.
Absolutely.
Probably. I mean, we were at that Jefferson playoff game last year, and we were like,
Creekside?
Yep. And I think their reward would have been coffee.
Dadgummit.
If they had won that game, they would have gotten to play coffee. And we were talking. We wanted to see that team.
Still bitter.
Bitter as
if
coffee.
This game is
We were one game away from the bins.
You and me both.
Yeah, one game away from the bins.
Yeah.
That drive back was.
It was not fun.
Yeah.
Only because we were one game away from the bins.
But we wanted to see that coffee team because the discussion was what's the best team in the state, and a lot of people thought coffee, and we would have gotten a chance to see that team. And they ended up winning that, and they won that game.
You're exactly
so
right.
It's I'm going to be there. I'm really interested to see, can they stir the coffee? Can Jackson County stir that coffee?
Well, and I think the way they do that, Jeff, is
I've been holding on to that one, by the way.
Unfortunate part.
I think they have to keep this game low scoring. I think that's really what it boils down to. They got to keep the offense on the field and grind out long drives. I know that's not necessarily been what Jackson County has done all year. They like to throw the ball and they like to stretch the field with R.J. Knapp. But I think they're going to have to find a running game, and they're going to have to utilize the short pass game to keep their offense on the field and give that defense a rest because Coffee can score points. And so I think if this is a 21-14 game, I like Jackson County's chances. But if it's 35 points on one side of the scoreboard, I think that's on the Coffee County side, and it's going to be tough for Jackson County to keep up in that game. So I want to see a low-scoring game for Jackson County to try and pull off this upset. It's a 21-point spread in this game for Coffee County.
Wow.
If it's low-scoring, though, I like the Panthers' chances.
By the way, the color of that helmet, that coffee helmet right there, that's about the color I like my coffee hat. Right there.
Maroon?
Yeah,
Bro, that's red.
How do you get maroon colored
coffee? That's
coffee?
not red. That's like a light brown. Is it a little bit of cream?
It looks
I'm
maroon.
going to go ahead and throw this out there.
I've been known to be colorblind.
I was about to say, I want to throw this
maroon.
out there, Caleb. Are you colorblind?
Yeah, that's maroon.
Are you colorblind?
Can we?
I also realized
red.
I never switched
That's
from
not
Walker's
red.
shot.
Like
so
the
there's that.
light brown. The light brown is the FGN logo. That was a completely different color.
Yeah.
Bring
that-
that helmet back up.
That
real
was
quick.
more
There's no
like
way
my
that's
shirt.
red.
Can you
but
blow
like
it
a
up?
darker purple.
I know I'm looking at it from across a room.
Can you blow it up?
Maroon. It's
Can you
maroon.
blow it up?
No.
It's
I will blow it up later.
maroonish though, and I'm looking at it.
Also, a funny fact about the helmet.
Fun fact.
A fun fact about the helmet. If you look close enough at it, Trojan is spelled backwards because I just horizontally flipped it in the graphics.
The red light.
Oh, nice. Way to
It
go.
looks brown from here.
Yeah, it's
I'm
because
looking
you're
at
not-
it across a room.
Hey, red light.
Oh dear! I'm gonna have to explain the red light. To
No, you can explain later.
Look what happens when I switch to my shot.
That's
it
all
goes
great.
away, and then
That's
when I
all
switch
good.
back to yours, it comes back. How about that?
All right, well, let's move on.
Like a
Coffee,
real
Jackson
production.
County, as we've already said, a very intriguing first-round matchup. Okay, Gainesville is at Sequoyah, and this is a 2 versus 3 seed, guys. I know Gainesville, as we talked about earlier with...
Wait, are they playing Sequoyah? It looks like they're playing Michigan.
Yes, they're playing Michigan. No, Sequoyah. Okay. That doesn't look like Michigan, now that I see that helmet.
You really had me freaked out that I grabbed the wrong helmet. Like,
Are we sure we have the right? Because they're the
It's a
Chiefs.
Michigan type helmet.
Yeah.
Is that the right helmet? Because they're the Chiefs.
Either that
I
or Prince
searched
Avenue
Sequoyah.
Christian, one or the other.
Sequoyah. That's weird.
Did I get the wrong helmet?
I think
I
you
don't-
may
you
have.
think-
No, I'm messing with you. That is Sequoiah's
Is
helmet.
that their helmet?
It is their helmet.
What is on that helmet?
Not sure.
It looks like the
The
Wolverine.
Wolverine, like the wing.
I think
thing
it's
that they
just
do.
a pattern. Like it's just a color pattern. I don't think there's.
Okay.
I don't think
okay,
there's anything supposed to be symbolic about the color pattern.
Well, regardless, Jeff, I know you talked to Coach Niblett this
I
week
did.
about this game, and of course, I know they have some injuries heading into this game. But what were his spirits like? Obviously, good because they always are with Coach Niblett.
No, I think the accident on Monday was kind of a gut punch to everybody in the program. But I think once the team found out that he was that Carmelo was going to be okay and come through this, he said that he saw on yesterday, a different sense of urgency with his group that he had not seen this year. He thinks that this has brought them a little closer together. He said practice was amped up yesterday like he hadn't seen in a while, which is a very, very good sign.
What's his confidence in this matchup?
I think he likes his team. I mean, let's just say that. He never not likes his team, but he likes his team. We like his team. I mean, nobody really has been able to slow them down. Yep. I don't see Sequoyah being able to slow them down. The key, and this is what we talked about, and I have a really good feature on Access on Friday game night that I put up this morning that, the theme of the discussion was toughness for him. And not just, showing your physical toughness, but really more the mental aspects, the things that we have all seen that have seen the Gainesville game this year. The untimely penalties, the mistakes, just, not keeping your cool in certain things. And he goes, the tough thing about being tough is you got to know when to walk away. And he says that is the key. He said, look, teams are going to try to get us, because they've been shown that they can. He goes, they're going to try to get us riled up. Can we walk away? Can we not make the mistake? And he goes, he feels like that they are beginning to understand that. He really likes what he's seen from practice this week.
Perfect timing.
Absolutely perfect timing. Look, no one's been able to slow down Kareem Huey and the offense. Carmelo was a big part of the offense. Now it's going to be running back by committee, but they got a couple of guys.
Gainesville at full power with minimal mistakes. Caleb, you don't want to play them in the playoffs.
No, and here's the thing, and we don't know a lot about Sequoyah, but I do know this. Gainesville comes from the tougher region, having to play Milton and Roswell. And by the way, Seconder and Lanier aren't terrible.
Nope.
I mean, they came
Neither is Moody.
Carrollton.
Neither is Moody.
Don't forget about
Carrollton. Gainesville comes from the tougher region. Now, that means nothing once you actually get on the football field and start playing ball against Sequoyah. And like I said, don't know a whole lot about them. I do think, to your point, Jeff, nobody has really stopped the Gainesville offense all year. The only time Gainesville has lost, it has really been the defensive side of the football that has got them. So to me, Walker, what I'm watching for in this game is what's the point total for Sequoyah at the end of the game? Because if it's under 30, I like Gainesville pretty confidently in this one.
Well, and we talked 3 weeks ago, the last time that Gainesville was on the field. This double bye for them could not have come at a better time for that defensive front. Xavier Griffin was hurt the entire front seven was banged up, to be quite frank. They've had 2 weeks off to get that defense healthy, which we said coming into the year, better side of the football for Gainesville. Now their offense is really clicking, and their defense hopefully and likely is really healthy. We said it last week in that story that Jeff put up on Friday game night. Gainesville might be the dark horse in 5A just as how they're playing. We just haven't seen a full 48 minutes from them. I think this might be the game where we see the first full 48 minutes from Big Red, and what that looks like in terms of a final score. I'm excited to see, because I think that this could be like a 56-7 type of thing. If the defense is doing what they're doing and the offense does what they do for 48 minutes, could be a blowout, and it could be an impressive win for Gainesville in the first round.
Well, there's a couple of things, Walker.
Two things.
Caden Fossick, 92. We were watching some of the highlights. He's back. He's back. He's back. He will play. Xavier Griffin has been practicing this week.
Attaboy.
I think he's going to play. If not,
double bye couldn't have come at a better time.
I'm telling you. And here's the thing: they played. Second year runs a wing T, right?
Right.
So does Sequoyah. They run a little bit different. They run it out of the spread, but they've seen the wing T and how it can operate.
Triple option action.
Little
tech offense.
And what was the score of that second year game? 41-0.
Auburn.
41-0. So the question is, it is a little different attack. They've seen it. It's rare when you've seen a wing T, before you get to the playoffs. They've been able to play a team with the wing T, so they have familiarity. And getting their guys back, I really like Gainesville in this game. I like the attitude that they're coming in. That the players understand that sense of urgency now that it's the playoffs. I think that's what you want. I mean, that right there, I forget the talent. If your team has a sense of urgency and understands what's at stake and they're ready to, up their practices, that's exactly what you want. And a Gainesville team, Walker, like you said, we haven't seen a full 48 minutes. I want to see what it looks like. And I don't know if anybody else in 5A wants to see what it looks like.
I think Sequoyah is going to see what it looks like, and a win could possibly set up a rematch with Woodward Academy in the second round. So that should be interesting. All right, guys, we're going to get to the rundown picks and the dark horse dogs. That's all straight ahead as we take a short break here. Back after this. Let's get to the picks here on the show this week. And last week we did make picks. And sorry, Caleb, we picked for you.
I am.
He picked in the group chat. I went back and looked to find
a drastic
pick.
lack of music right now.
A drastic lack of music.
A disturbing lack of music.
There it is.
A little louder, please. A little more. There we go.
Oh, maybe down just there it
Split
is.
The difference. There we go.
All right, so Jeff was the only one that won last week. The rest of us picked Lakeview. Jeff is 1-0. He is at the top of the playoff standings.
It only matters when you get to the playoffs.
Let's see how
it only matters when you get to the playoffs.
Let's see how bad he can be this week. Wow. Pick order updated by Walker, Caleb, Seth, myself, Jeff, and Walker. Caleb, Seth, myself, Jeff, and Walker.
I just want to check in on my hopes at all. Are we restarting for playoffs or
we're restarting?
Yes,
we're restarting.
We're all
playoffs.
I say we're all 0-0, but we made a pick last week, so we're all 0-1 except Jeff.
Also, we remember.
Seth.
I know you do. Trust me. I know
we
you
are
do.
giving you a
Caleb,
second
did you
chance.
watch the show last week?
I did watch the show last week.
Okay, so you saw your graphic.
Can I
we
get
made
that
for
trophy
you.
one more time? Can we bring that up now that I'm actually here one more time?
He could probably bring it up here in a few,
Can we-
you know. It's
Hey!
There it is.
There we go.
There it is. There it
That
is.
might be my favorite picture of Caleb. That's hilarious.
That's a rip-off of
That's
his
from
Facebook.
the Christmas parade last year.
Oh, dear.
I wished I had the full unedited version of that photo. It would have been a much better graphic of your face, your head. You know, whatever. All right, Caleb, you pick first. East Coweta at Buford.
Give me Buford. We're not closing Tom Ryden Stadium.
I mean, can we
yet.
just all do this one together?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Buford.
Buford.
3.
Buford.
All right, we're
Buford,
back off the
Buford
all right,
Lowndes next week?
Walker started counting. We're all off that counting again. we
Gainesville at Sequoyah.
Gainesville.
Seth.
I'm looking at the order on the. Oh, that's the dark horse order. Oops. Yeah, I'll go Gainesville.
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 Big Red by a lot.
Hab Central at Lee County.
Lee County.
That sounded like it hurt. I'll go Lee as well.
Lee.
It did hurt.
Yeah.
That's my old homeroom teacher at Haversham
I'm
Central.
just hoping Coach Harrison comes out of there without getting hurt. I'm going to go with Lee County. I mean, wow, that's a tough first
Lee
rounder.
County is really, really, really good.
No doubt.
I think I saw a stat.
They're in the same region as Coffee County.
right.
Look, I think I saw a
Speaking.
stat. They have scored the 5th most points in GHSA history
We'll get to
during
your
the regular
stats later,
season.
Jeff. Coffee
That's
at
insane.
Jackson County.
Man, I want to pick Jackson County so bad, but I can't. My head won't let me. I'm taking Coffee in this one.
I'm going. Give me Jackson at home. Give me Jackson at home.
I got to go with the Trojans in this one.
I'm like you, Caleb. I really
wanted to as well.
I really want to take Jackson County.
Do it.
But I'm going to take Coffee. And Coach, come on now, give us the upset.
Walker.
I don't know that Jackson County's defense can keep Coffee County off the board. I said earlier it needs to be low scoring, I think, for Jackson County to have a chance. I don't know that it will be. I think this could be a shootout potentially. I know both defenses playing well, but Jackson County's offense is playing well right now. I just don't know that their defense can keep up. I'm going to take Coffee County in a shootout.
East Forsyth at Jones County.
Give me the Broncos on the road.
Yeah, Broncos. Let's
I ain't
do it.
scared of no Greyhounds.
Yeah, Broncos have played well this
They're pretty
season.
big dogs, though.
Yeah, give me the Broncos.
What's Jones County's record?
Don't know.
It's in the parking lot, by the way, in Gray, Georgia.
In the barking
You did
lot.
just say barking lot.
That's what
right?
they call their stadium.
It's the bar.
That is what they
Right,
call
hold
their
on.
stadium.
That's
That's a good catch.
Jones County is
We
9
need
and 1.
to work on that.
I
We
will-
need
9 and
to
1,
tag
okay.
team. We need to
I
tag
will
team with them
never
and work
forget.
on that.
I'll never forget that Buford game that we did down there. I saw that on the outside of their stadium. They do call it the parking lot.
Right. Jones County's 9 and 1. Walker.
Thank you.
Oh,
Did you
is
make
it
a
my-
pick, Jeff?
Oh, is it my pick? Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know where we're going.
I don't
think
didn't know
that
what
10
the record
minutes
was.
is
I was
gonna happen,
giving you
Bo.
the kids.
Man, I like East Forsyth. I like the way they're playing, but Jones County, I think they're only giving up like 15 points a game. Give me the Greyhounds. But
I really need a third camera in here for
yeah.
close-ups.
But
I
I
really do.
I think it's the game East Forsyth can win. But give me the Greyhounds at home.
East Forsyth's favored by a touchdown. Broncos cover.
Flowery Branch at Ola.
Ola.
Yeah, Ola's
Ola.
Ola only finished second because that was the Stockbridge team had to forfeit every one of their games. I'm going to take Ola, but I think Flowery Branch, if they can slow it down, I think they can win this game.
Ola.
Pretty sure I was supposed to go after.
Oh, I'm
Keyword,
sorry,
yeah.
my bad.
You were.
Well, when I heard him
that
say
really
Ola,
messed me
I
up
thought it
on
was
the
like,
marking.
sorry.
That really messed me up on the marking. So I hope I got everybody saying Ola correct.
Ola.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Ola,
Oh.
but Flowery Branch is in this game late in the fourth quarter.
Chestatee at Peach County.
I Love this Chestatee team to death. Really wish they weren't going to Peach County this week because I'd love to pick them in a playoff game. Peach County's really good, though. I'm going with the Trojans.
Yeah, I'm going to have to stick with you there, Caleb.
I think the wing tee of Chestatee can
do it.
Be in it for a little bit.
Do it.
I think they can.
Do it.
I'm pulling for my guy Stuart Cunningham and the War Eagles.
Do it.
But I got to go with Peach County.
Yeah, there it is.
Look, I'm going to go with Peach. I think they may have the longest playoff streak running in the state. This is 34 consecutive seasons they've been in the playoffs. It's going to be hard for Chestatee. Give me Peach, but boy, I would love to see this.
Same.
I would love to see this.
Not jumping too far ahead, but it's a 33-point favorite, Peach County.
And
that's a lot of points. Taking Peach County, but that's a lot of points.
Gilmer at North Hall.
I
didn't say it, by the way.
Trojans in this one.
I didn't say it, by the way.
Go ahead, say it.
Didn't say
You're dying to say it.
I didn't say it.
What?
You're dying to say it.
Gilmer County at North Hall.
Trojans at home.
Trojans at home, definitely. Brickyard Magic, baby.
I think the Trojans will have a little bit of trouble with the wing tee of Paul Standard early on, but I think they end up rolling. Give me the Trojans.
Yeah, give me North Hall at home.
See, I don't know that they have an issue because they've seen it with Chestatee. And they did, run away in the second half.
Early with Chestatee.
Yeah, early with Chestatee, but I think they have the adjustments made at this point. They've had 2 weeks really to prepare for Gilmer. They kind of knew this matchup was coming, so they've had plenty of time to prep for it. I think North Hall wins running away.
LaGrange at Lumpkin County.
So here's my stat.
Play the music.
Why don't you wait till you pick? We flow, yeah.
Do
whatever.
the stat or we
play
just
it.
wait?
Just go. We already messed
Just
it
go.
up.
Play the music.
Just play it.
Let's do it.
Again.
Things you need to know. It's Jeff Hart's interesting stat of the show.
That we should have done 40 minutes ago.
All right, go, Jeff.
Okay, so I said the stat was 22. Lumpkin County, since 2022, when Heath Webb got here, they're 27-0 when scoring 22 or more points. When they've scored 21 or less, they are 0-7.
All right, so you picking.
That's it.
So now you get to pick first.
I get to pick
go.
first. I'm going to take Lumpkin in this. I think they're going to score more than 21.
I am going to go – this is the toughest one to pick to me of the first round slate. I'm going to go LaGrange just because I don't quite trust Lumpkin's defense enough right now, but I do think this has shootout potential to it. And, again, like I said, I think this is the toughest one to call of the first round games that we have this week.
I agree. I'm going to go Lumpkin, but just because they're at home, this is at Lumpkin. I'm going to go with Lumpkin, but I agree 100% that defense is going to need to show out pretty heavy.
Oh, it's my pick.
It's yours.
Aren't they called the Grangers?
Yes, they are.
They are, the LaGrange Grangers.
Give me the Grangers.
LaGrange has the third best running back in the state in terms of rushing yards.
Are you going to pick against her?
Lumpkin's going to have a strong defensive performance, something they haven't done very well this year.
Here it comes.
But Cal Faulkner's still the best player on the field.
There it is.
And Lumpkin's shown they can get him the ball in a lot of different ways. Go back to that Dawson County game, throw him out at wide receiver for a half. They run away in the second half. I think that Cal's all over the field. They win, to Caleb's point, a shootout. Like a field goal game, maybe even. This could be one of those double, triple, quadruple overtime games that the Burial Grounds has like to have in recent years. I'm taking Lumpkin, but very close.
All right, can we just all do this one together? Monroe at Jefferson.
Who's counting?
I'll do it. I'll do it. 1, 2, 3. Jefferson.
No confidence in the Monroe Tornadoes, not to be confused with the Monroe area Hurricanes that are playing at
Aren't they like the 45th?
Something like that.
Seed in the postseason rankings.
They're the bottom seed in the playoffs.
Is there some sort of law that if you have Monroe in your name, you have to be named after some weather pattern?
I don't know. Are they the Hurricanes as well?
No, the apprentice school builders are playing the Monroe Mustangs on Saturday afternoon. So It's not a law.
What about the Monroe area Canes at the Cherokee Bluff Bears?
Give me the Bears in this one. I think they find a way to get it done. I do think this is going to be a tough battle, though.
Bears.
I think it is going to be a really tough battle. Could be a really close one, second time around. But I think the Bears get the win.
KT Thompson and the Bears.
I want to see a quarterfinal rematch between either Jefferson, Oconee, and Cherokee Bluff. I'm taking the Bears at home to advance to the second round.
East Jackson and Morgan County.
Morgan.
Morgan and Morgan for the people.
My camera overheated.
Union County and Sumter County.
Sumter.
Bo.
Do it.
Bo.
Do it.
Where's Sumter County?
That is
South Georgia.
That's
like a 17-hour drive.
America.
That's the new sounder I'm gonna get. The little Palpatine. Do it.
So it's like a 17-hour drive for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Do it.
Give me Sumter.
I'll take Sumter.
I'm sorry.
I'll take the win over all of you guys. Give me the Panthers.
Now that he's done that.
Yeah.
I like Camden Kendrick at quarterback.
Yep. Union lost their left tackle in practice this week.
Bremen at Commerce.
That's fine.
Okay. Just let
Commerce.
Give me
Commerce.
Rabin at Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald.
Yeah. I'll take
Fitzgerald. Yeah, me and Bo had a conversation about
I've
this
seen
earlier.
this movie before, sadly. I'm going to take Fitzgerald.
We all have seen this movie before.
Hey, I've
Seth
seen it
in
live.
person.
I watched the movie get produced. Like,
All right, let's roll into
I take
this week's.
Fitzgerald, by the way.
You did what?
You took
take
Fitzgerald.
Well, we figured
Yeah.
you did. All right, let's roll the dogs. Let's get it done.
Horse dog.
Play that one more time.
Play it one more time.
Horse dog.
Dark
Horse dogs.
All right, going first is Jeff. Second is Walker, Seth, Caleb, and myself. I love how this is all set up here.
58 over Haversham.
There's plenty of points out there, and we are starting over from scratch again.
Who won the
here.
regular season, by the way?
Jeff, I did not make a trophy for you. Move it on.
How come I don't get a trophy?
Because I didn't feel like finding your face to put on one.
We start over. Everybody's got 0 points.
Right,
I feel insulted. I'm not sure, but I do feel insulted.
My bad.
Boy, this is hard.
How about the music? Where'd the music go?
I don't know.
It's back. What you got,
You know
Jeff?
what? I'm going to take. Give me the Indians at the Burial Ground plus 10. I think they're going to win that game, and I get 10 points. I'll take it.
I'm going to take Chastity. That's 33 points. That is a lot of points. I think I'm guaranteed a cover in that game. And if Chastity can keep it close, maybe they win it.
Who's up next?
is it me?
It is Seth Chapman.
Caleb than me.
Fixing my camera.
The Sith Lord is picking.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, you took Chastity. You know what?
What?
Oh man.
What?
Someone already took Lumpkin, right?
I did.
Yep. Jeff did.
I'm gonna go Raven County plus 12. I'm gonna do Raven County.
Okay.
Just because I picked against them, but I think it'll be closer than that.
My turn now.
It is Khalib's turn.
Monroe
or
area.
Kal-El of Krypton.
Monroe area plus 16 at Cherokee Bluff.
It's pronounced Krypton.
Hey, at least you didn't say a specific word that Jeff said.
Tell me that Haversham
Shut up, Jeff.
number isn't looking at you.
Dang. Bo. So rude.
Bo has not liked me for like the last 2 weeks.
What was your pick, Caleb?
I think there's three
Cherokee
quality
Bluff
options
plus
still
16
left
at
out there. I'm
Monroe-
curious if he's going to pick
Monroe area.
one.
Give me
Monroe
Jackson
area
County.
plus 16 at
Jackson
Give me Jackson County.
plus 21. That's a good pick.
Thanks, Jeff.
I do.
See,
I like that.
I either thought he was going to go with Jackson. I thought he could have gone with
That ticker is going to give me a
Flowery
seizure.
Branch because Ola, I think that game's going to be close. Ola supposed to be the 3 seed. I thought that might have been his pick too.
Was anybody tempted with the 58 in Habersham Central?
No.
No.
That's a 58.
Although
that's
but it's
insane.
but I'm
was
only
that
getting
Jackson
4
line
points
again?
if Habersham keeps it
dyslexic
within the
and can't
58.
plus
find
21.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that's a wrap for the show. By the way, what's on the tailgate?
We will talk to Brian Stewart, preview that Cherokee Bluff Monroe area game. By the way, I have been told by the front office we are out of prizes for the year. So, unfortunately, none of those. But, hey, we gave out a lot of them this year. I think we gave out every one of our prizes this year. So
Should be a great show.
That is a first, I
Why
think.
is that a first?
Well, a lot of times we'll stump people with those trivia questions.
So you were too easy on them.
Maybe I was too easy.
Hey, Thursday night quarterback coming up tomorrow night. Make
Who's
sure you
on
tune
Thursday
it in.
night quarterbacks, Bo?
Well, that's a great question. It's still not set up, but hopefully we can get a few coaches on the show as we discuss the first round. And on our airways, is that fixed? No, it's not. It's still the Week 10 radio schedule. But
Disregard the graphic.
Disregard the
down
graphic.
low.
Well,
And
but no, the 550 game's right.
oh, is it?
Oh, it is? Look at that.
It is. Look, the 550 graphic is correct.
No, wait. This is
And the
wait.
94.5
This is
game
right.
is right.
No, this
The
is right.
102.9 game is right.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
all
is
3
right.
games are
Never
right.
mind.
Just
I just
says
see
week 10.
Yeah, those games are right.
It says Week 10 radio schedule, but the actual games themselves
I
are correct.
dislike all of you. Like
Yeah,
this.
sorry, I just saw Week 10. My bad. Those
Oh, did
games
I
are
not?
correct.
Oh, I didn't change the top thing.
Those
It
games
says
are
week
correct,
10.
so I'll let you see them on
Okay.
the screen.
Fun fact: I've not changed that because I didn't know it was there
Yeah,
the
it's-
whole
it's-
time.
it's there.
It's always said week 10.
Thought we
Yeah.
had North Hall on.
We do have North Hall on.
We do. They're on 102.9.
102.9.
It's a little bitty. You probably can't read
Yeah,
it.
it's North Hall, Gilbert. Hey, that's a wrap for the show, guys. And make sure you follow us on X at Friday Game Night. We'll have scores, real-time scores coming through most of the night there. And go to the website, XSWDUN.com. for stories, highlights, and more of the first round. For everyone, on the ground, enjoy week number 1 of the high school football playoffs. Goodbye. Why are we saluting?
My arm was
Like,
getting tired.
why are we here? Are we still live?
Are we?
Are we?
I don't think so.
I'm on.
We're off the air?
Yeah, I think we're off.
Oh,
Are you sure?
Yeah.
all right.
Okay.